So now I'd like to bring up Chris Rollman, our Sports Information Director, for the introduction of the 2008-2009 team.
I was fortunate to have a front row seat at the scorers table for most of the games that season, so I'm just going to talk a little bit about that team. First, the facts. The 2008-09 team finished as the NCAA Division III national runner-up after becoming just the second Stockton team in any sport to reach an NCAA championship game. They set the school record with 30 victories, finishing the season with a record of 30 wins and 3 losses. They finished with the best record in the New Jersey Athletic Conference during the regular season and won the NJAC tournament for the second straight year. The team was ranked as high as number 2 in the nation by the National Association of Basketball Coaches, and their path to the NCAA championship game featured an 18-game winning streak that lasted for over 2 months. During that streak, Gerry Matthews stuck to his tradition of wearing the same outfit for games during a streak. You saw it in the video: black pants, royal blue shirt, black tie with blue circles on it. We have another video coming up later with another game. You'll see the same outfit. It goes without saying that it takes a lot of talent to reach an NCAA championship game, but there are a few other factors that really helped make that team and that season so successful. I think the first thing was the team's chemistry. The pieces have just fit so well together with this group of guys. They had great point guard play, three-point shooting, athleticism. They had a strong inside game, role players who did their job so well. They really just all worked together, and the whole was greater than the sum of its parts with this group of players. I think another key factor to their success was versatility. They had balanced scoring. 5 players averaged double figures for the season. They could win a high-scoring game with great offense. As you saw, they scored 100 points against Farmingdale State in the NCAA quarterfinals, and they could also win low-scoring games with great defense. I think one of the trademarks of all of Gerry's teams at Stockton was that they always got better as the year went on, and this team really embodied that trait, and by the time the later half of the season came, they were just able to do so many different things so well, offensively and defensively, that it all just gelled. And one more thing that made that season so enjoyable was that this team played 6 consecutive postseason games at home. As the number 1 seed for the NJAC tournament, we hosted the NJAC semifinals and the NJAC championship. Then Stockton was chosen as a host site for the first and second rounds of the NCAA tournament. 2 more wins there, and we got picked again to host the sectionals and the quarterfinal rounds. And 2 more wins there sent us on to Salem and the Final Four. And it was just a great run. It was a great time to be at Stockton. The students, the whole Stockton community really rallied around this team. We had great crowds in the sports center. I think the fans' enthusiasm spurred on the team, and the way the team played really brought out even more enthusiasm from the fans, and it just made it a really special time to be at Stockton. And so now it's time for me to bring up a man that needs no introduction, a Hall of Famer in his own right, and the head coach of the 2008-09 team, the one and only Gerry Matthews.
Just a couple of quick things first. I want to congratulate Audra, Stephanie on getting into the Hall of Fame, especially then Paul Chambers. Let me say this. He was here, I guess, 27 of the 30 years I was, and there wasn't a more helpful person here during all that time. Anything you needed done, he would do, and he did it with a smile. And some of the things John said about him, I can vouch for some of that. Every year we have a team camp in June, and we would start at 5:30. So I'd get here about 4 o'clock. I'd put the score clocks out. I'd get the extension cords, set them all up to the plugs, which might be 50 or 60 feet away. At the end of the night, I would just ask the kids to bring the score clocks in, and we'll put them away. Leave the extension cords along the wall. Well, fat chance of them staying there. The next day, I come in, and it's 4 o'clock, and where the hell are the extension cords? It's a question of where did Paul lock them up? But you could count on it just like rain. But there are a few other things that I learned when John was introducing him and Paul was here. John said Paul basically did 40 or 50 different jobs. I want to know that when Jeff was hired, why he only has 5. But I guess it's because they give him all he can handle. Of course, there's someone else, too, that was mentioned up here, and I wondered this question for 25 years. Jim Gwathney's the intramural director. It's a 12-month job. At least he gets paid for 12. The job may take 5. So I wondered, what else did he do with all that time? Now I know. He brought the lunches out for the kids in the camp. Damn, he is versatile. But one more thing, too. Most everybody here is from New Jersey. So in the last week, you really have to have been living in a cave if you haven't read the papers or seen on television that Atlantic City's mayor has been sent to jail. And he has been replaced by Mr. Marty Small. What I want you to realize is Mr. Marty Small is a Stockton graduate. He played in the basketball program, 94, 5, 6, and 7. We won the NJAC in 96 and 7. We won 3 NCAA games with him in 96, 2 in 97. He made first team All-League in 97. And he had a dream to become mayor of Atlantic City. And he right now is living his dream. So that the American dream is still alive when people pursue it and put in the time and effort. And Stockton can feel good about the mayor of Atlantic City right now. So hopefully everything works out well, just as long as he doesn't start his own basketball program in town. So the 2008-9 basketball team. Well, in 1987, we went to the Final Four. And one of the guys who played on the team thought this is easy. We're going to do this every year. He found out that doesn't work that way. It took us 22 years to get back. 2 times we did lose in the game to go to the Final Four. We lost in the Sweet 16 4 or 5 times. But it's not easy. It takes a special group to get there. And going into the season, we weren't sure what we had. You saw the pictures. There's no one especially big on that team. We had won the league in 2008. And 2 of our student coaches, John Green and Mario Lancioni, played on that team. They made first team All-League, and it finished their eligibility. So that here we are replacing 2 all-conference players, and we're not sure what we have. Well, let me tell you what. This group did click from the first day to the last. We started the season winning our first 3 games. We played Middlebury in a tournament, and we lost 61-58. We were down 59-58, and we missed 2 foul shots with 20 seconds to go that would have put us ahead, but we didn't make them. They scored. We ended up losing by 3. We won our next 9 games, including the Scranton tournament. And then we played college in New Jersey. There's been 3 different times that we have been 12-1 at that point in the season. And every time we get to 12-1, we lose. And we lost. It made college in New Jersey's season because they were under 500 for the year. I honestly believe because the tournament in Scranton was on a Saturday and Sunday, if it had been Friday, Saturday, we would have had the amount of time we needed to get mentally ready to play that game. because we were not sharp and not as into it as we normally were. Little did we know we're going to win the next 18 games. And that next game, when we were 12-2, we played William Patterson. And if anybody was here, you remember, it was a 4-overtime game. And we won 77-76. I'll tell you this, I was the head coach for 13 years in high school and 30 here. It's the only 4-overtime game I ever played. And we won it. And we kept on winning. We got to the NJAC tournament, and the first game was against William Patterson. Well, this time we beat them by 17. We played Newark Rutgers in the league championship game. And what's notable to say about that game, Isom Poe, who right now lives in San Francisco and is not able to get here tonight, he had the best dunk in that game that I have ever seen in 30 years of Division III basketball. And when you watch the film of when he got it, it was in the first half when the play was down the other end away from our bench, and you see Rutgers Newark and their crowd. When he threw it, it was a reverse. He caught it from Jerome in the air without looking, threw it back over his head and down. One of the guys sitting in the stands for Newark Rutgers jumped up out of the stands and ran around the back of the stands because he was so in awe of what had just happened. But we won the game. We got in the NCAA. We beat Rensselaer. We're going to play Gwynedd Mercy. Gwynedd Mercy had the only guy that I met in 30 years that I didn't like. And when we played the game, let me say this first. Omar Smith has the heart of a lion. He guarded Gwynedd Mercy's best player, a 6'7" kid from down in Middle Township. He had transferred to Gwynedd Mercy. He wouldn't even come and visit us. Oh, I visited you when I was in high school. Yeah, good. So you went to Gwynedd Mercy. Good. He got to go home with Gwynedd Mercy that night, too. When they came to the gym that night, about 10 after 6, the head coach says to Charles Smith, who was our building manager at the time, when the game's over, I want to cut down the nets. Now, I was ready for that guy that night to begin with. When Charles told me that story, I was raged. I was ready to play. We win the game. Kevin made me go down and shake his hand. The next day, I had Dave cut down the nets. I was going to mail them to him. And then Kevin kind of like begged me, please don't do that. So when Kevin asked me something, I do what Kevin says. I didn't mail them to him. So the next week, we had played the games here. We played St. Lawrence on the Friday night. And it's in the first half. And Isom Poe, the dunk man, makes a 3, which now makes him the most dangerous person on the floor, because whenever someone makes a 3, they think the next one's going in too. So he took another one that was about 3 feet wide of the basket. And St. Lawrence got the ball, raced down the floor. So Isom's going to make up for it. He's going to chase it down the floor, block the shot, and save the day. He chased it down the floor. He leaped at the ball, didn't get it. He came down and he broke his ankle. And that was it. He was done. He didn't play in the last 3 games of the season. And would it have helped in the long run? You can't believe that it wouldn't. But he had had a great season for us. So the next night when we played Farmingdale, hey, everybody was there to play. And you saw in the little clip Isom on the bench with his crutches and that, just cheering the same as everybody. And the best picture I saw of all the pictures taken during that year was our guys on the bench cheering for the guys on the floor in the last 5 minutes of the game. It said a lot about this group of guys because they were all together. Like I said, they clicked. We got to the Final Four. We played F&M. We've played F&M 4 times in my career. We were 1-3. I'll say this, we did win the right one, though. They could have the regular season wins. The one to get to the national championship game was the most important one. In that game, Kai Massaquoi had 20 points to lead us. Our shooters, they took the night off. Fortunately, as Chris said, we defended our buns off, and we got to the last couple of minutes of the game. And Mike Farrow isn't here tonight. Mike Farrow made a couple of plays. He scored the winning basket, and he got a jump ball off a missed foul shot that we had the arrow and kept possession with 18 seconds to go. And in that last, we stole the ball. Omar stole the ball when they went down the floor to try and score in the last 30 seconds, and they fouled Omar. Now, I didn't say before, when we lost to Middlebury, Omar was the guy who missed the 2 foul shots. But again, like Chris said also, you get better as the season goes on. Omar went to the foul line. It was 59-58. He made the first one, 60-58. He missed the second one. That's when Mike Farrow made a great play getting the jump ball off of the miss. And it was our arrow. And they threw the ball in bounds. And we started to reverse the ball. And Santini had the ball. I had time to say to myself, don't pass it. Let them foul Santini. And he threw the ball to Omar. And sure enough, they fouled Omar. But the first one made it 61-58. The second one made it 62-58. He made 3 out of 4 at the biggest time of the year. And you couldn't ask any more from him. The next day, we played Washington College from St. Louis. They were the defending national champ. The hardest part about Division III is you played a semifinal game on Friday night, and you got to play the next day. And you're never sure what time because they change it based on what time the game's going to be on television or whatever. But we were going to play at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, maybe. It depended if the girls' national championship game was over. Otherwise, we'd sit in the locker room till it was. So, and you get 40 minutes on the court in the morning to prepare for the biggest game of your life. A whole 40 minutes. But it is what it is. Both teams got 40 minutes. So we lost. But at the same time, you'll see the other clip that John will put up there. 30 wins, 3 losses from a group of guys that, my gosh, looking at that picture, they just had a great season. They liked each other. They all got along. They had a great time. They took the coaches for a great ride. And I just want to thank them for a great season, and they deserve any honor that we get tonight. So, and I'd like to thank Dr. Kesselman because he's been here longer than me and been here with us on all the trips to the NCAA tournaments and everything else. But what I don't want to say is I want to be back here for the 2014 team getting in too. And I want John Green and Mario Lancioni to get in the Hall of Fame too. It's never too soon to start politicking.